I have started mine. I have started my recording.
It's a classic. That's by the Henry Ford fuck machine, right?
No, that is the SimCity 2000 song.
Oh. Yes.
Professor Falcon has a different version of that.
I remember he used to play it a lot when we were cleaning up stuff together back in the day.
Steven Spielberg's cock, or?
No, maybe not that one. Maybe not that one. I think I'd remember that. I think it was like the original SimCity.
Oh, yeah. We did play the whole soundtrack for a while.
It's a classic. Oh no, a tornado! Well, hello, and welcome to The Empire Never Ended, the Boris, Fritz, and Ray show.
Fritz and Ray show.
Yes.
And we're feeling a little religious. We're feeling the calling to the church, to the Montenegrin Orthodox Church.
Our favorite church.
Our favorite church.
Give us a week, we'll be priests. Another couple weeks, bishops maybe. Another couple weeks, we'll split up into 3 churches.
I mean, they would absolutely have us for sure if you want.
Totally.
Yeah, especially now since they're split in.
Yeah.
See, Fritz, they're trying to rally the Montenegrin diaspora to behind the church.
Uh-huh.
So maybe you can become a priest and move somewhere with a nice Montenegrin minority in the U.S.
Sounds nice.
Well, Texas, no?
Texas, maybe.
There is a pliant minority there for me to sap funds from with religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can become, the head
I'll become their god,
the
Boris.
Texas, the Dallas diocese of Montenegrin Orthodox Church.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Archbishop Fritz.
In the future, they also have a first saint now.
Oh.
So I think you can also be a saint pretty easily.
Yeah, it doesn't sound hard to do really anything in there.
Yeah, you can be Saint Fritz of Texas.
Nice, I like all of this.
Yeah, Saint Fritz of Texas became a Montenegrin Orthodox follower and then, rallied the diaspora.
Especially if some Serbs kill you, I think then you'll be...
slow down. Slow down
I mean, if you want to be a martyr,
do I have to be incorruptible after they get me? Does my body have to remain unrotted?
They are highly corrupt, I think. I think we've proven that.
This body has been completely corrupted. That's perfect.
I bet we could make you a saint very easily, and we don't really even have to kill you. We can just pretend that you're killed. I think this would be good enough for them.
I much prefer that. That's a much better plan.
So you'll get deleted from social media, and then we'll say you were martyred.
Oh, yeah, I was canceled.
Yeah.
You just get canceled.
Maybe that's
to be martyred?
new form of martyrdom.
I think that's enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm fine. Here's some opinions.
You will be interviewed by Jordan Peterson as a martyr, the first alive martyr,
the first martyr of the woke agenda against the Montenegrin Orthodox Church.
I'll have the first CPC estuary.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're gonna love it.
They certainly will.
So, Boris, I heard you got some news about my church.
My
native faith here.
As we've already implied, we are going to be talking about the Montenegrin Orthodox Church, some of our old friends, and discuss some of the recent news coming out of Montenegro about what's going on with their church. A little bit of what we've alluded to already, because there is some sort of split, power struggle, schism.
Well, let me just guess.
religious language.
Can I just guess?
Yes, please.
My best guess would be that they discovered there's a Nazi Satanist doing an insight roll in the church and moving through the ranks. And when they found that out, they were so upset that they split off in protest.
One would think that would be important. Yes, yeah. One would think that, hey, maybe my parish priest giving interviews to Jake Hanrahan as a real Satanist of the Order of Nine Angles would be a thing that one would care about.
Good reason to split, I would say.
Yeah, and then maybe the idiot bishop who took him under his wing would get fired for doing, or at least some sort of reprimand for doing something that's stupid and ruining the image of the church. But as we've seen, they didn't really care about that. And that was just...
Still don't care.
Greater Serbian propaganda.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, it did get instrumentalized. Our text did get instrumentalized by some shady characters who, made sure not to link to where the original information came from, i.e. us, so that, the people reading it wouldn't have to hear about, famous figures in the Serbian church being called stench wizards.
Yeah. Velimirovic, you stinky guy. You stinky little fascist. Well, I bet Nikola's got a heady stank to him. Wearing those black robes, walk around in the sun, big guy.
I always thought those robes probably breathe well.
Yeah.
It's probably better than wearing pants.
You think he's
no, but they are wearing pants. This is just over.
But do they have? Who's checking?
You can see the pants.
They all check.
Can you?
Yeah.
They're not freeballing it in there.
Well, I mean, who knows?
Pants checker is the most popular job there at the.
Wearing a Speedo under it. That's what I would do if I were a priest with those cool robes.
It's Montenegro. What do you want? You relax.
It's a hot summer.
Get your Speedo on. Chill out. The robe can double as like a beach blanket.
Oh yeah. Are they allowed to? Yeah, they can go to the beach and chill. No.
I guess
they're allowed to be Satanists. I think they're allowed.
They can do whatever they want, really.
Look, the important thing is that you toe the line. What you do on your own time, promoting the Order of Nine Angles, is it's no business of ours. The church doesn't care if you publish with Martinet Press and Joshua Caleb Sutter because the important thing is that you're Montenegrin.
And not a Serb.
Definitely not.
Yes. All right. All right.
Although Nikola was a Serb, no?
He was. Yeah.
He was, yeah. Yeah, I remember him posting on Serbian Stormfront.
He was very Serbian.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't think the guys in, Serbian Combat 18, Blood and Honor would be very happy with you otherwise. If you were...
Maybe being Serbian was an inside role.
Who knows? Who knows?
He was infiltrating the Serbian nation.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the Montenegrin Orthodox Church is older than we think, and his whole 09A Astral Bone Gnawers Lodge thing was an insight role from the CPC, from Bishop Boris.
Oh.
Okay.
And that's not me, Bishop Boris. Maybe we should do a quick recap of just the history of the Montenegrin Orthodox Church.
It's been a little while.
It has been a little while. I think, longtime listeners are pretty familiar with this stuff. But, there might be an errant new person, somebody that hasn't caught up with, episodes like 200 episodes ago or whatever.
What do you mean you don't know the rites of consecration for the CPC?
Yeah.
I thought you listened to Tenepod.
We will not recap the history of Montenegro, although we absolutely did that.
We did. We did that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What do you mean you don't know the details of this small, unrecognized Orthodox church in a very, very, small European statelet?
Yeah. I love this is also a free episode, so these are, people that have literally never heard this show before.
That is.
But they should feel shamed, though, for not knowing the stuff that we talk about on our show. Anyway.
Well, if you really want more in-depth stuff, you can go back. We've done, I don't even know how many episodes on this already. A lot. And there have been some spin-offs, too, because we did the one that was there was the spin-off episode about other small unrecognized Orthodox churches, or some even not so small unrecognized Orthodox churches. We've gone through
within and without the sinister numinous tradition.
Yeah.
Mostly without.
Yeah.
It's in fact an anomaly that there is an Orthodox church with a follower
Satanist
of
priest. Yeah,
with the sinister numinous tradition.
I love it. Every time you say it, Ray, it always makes me laugh. Just we'll never get tired.
Okay, so the Montenegrin Orthodox Church is, according to official Christian church magic, is not the legitimate church. It wasn't blessed as such by the high wizard of Istanbul.
Yes, so the wrong bearded guy started it.
Yeah, that would be Patriarch Bartholomew of the
of the ecumenical patriarchy of Istanbul, Constantinople. So they are like a split from the Serbian Orthodox Church, which is the dominant Orthodox church or church period in Montenegro. So most people who are Orthodox are members of that church. And then this is a split off from the 90s, which is a nationalist split, because there is a kind of political, ethnical, nationalist division in Montenegro. There are people who consider themselves Montenegrin by nationality or ethnicity, and then others who identify as Serbian, but at the same time also Montenegrin. So it's a whole political issue, really. You have people, the closest of possible like relatives who identify differently. One brother is a Serbian, the other one is a Montenegrin, and so on. Right. So it's a thing that's going on in Montenegro. And then some who are like really, because you have many people who are like identify as Montenegrin but have no problems being a part of the Serbian Orthodox Church, because they have their own kind of autonomous organization there and their own like archbishop basically and so on. But there are ones who are very hardcore and who's separated from the Serbian Orthodox Church, but they are like very illegitimate, in the eyes of the official church, not only Serbian, but Orthodoxy in general. So they have almost no priests. They claim now they have around 20 before the split now.
Yeah.
And that's
nobody knows, actually.
Yeah. And most of them are not, a lot of them are not in Montenegro, so who knows? Maybe they have 10 priests only in Montenegro. I don't know. It's Montenegro is a small country. There is like 600,000 people living there, I guess. But 10 priests, that's really not a lot.
Yeah.
This has to do with with the topic of this episode now specifically, is that one of the problems they have in their church being recognized is that their official head of their church, what is his name?
Archbishop Metropolitan Mihailo.
Okay, so
his real name is Mirash Dedic.
He's a defrocked priest of the ecumenical patriarchy from Constantinople, which is the church that's like supposed to recognize you as an official church.
Yeah,
and they're the people who kicked out this guy. Okay.
Yeah, and their problems go even further back. So as you said, Ray, it kind of appeared in the 90s, specifically in 1993. It was revived, as they'd say, or founded, again, kind of as a response to more the Serbian Orthodox Church's nationalist positions that negated Montenegrin nationality. That's how they see it.
Serbian Orthodox Church had a very big, important role in Serbian nationalism in the 90s as well, in the wars and so on. Many of the bishops of the Serbian Orthodox Church were Serbian nationalists, supported the Serbian nationalist cause. War criminals and so on.
Yeah, and so the Montenegrin Orthodox Church arises as a response to that in 1993. Their claim to legitimacy comes from, again, we're not going to go through all Montenegrin history. We've covered this before, but just as a real quick recap,
refresher.
Their claim to legitimacy is that there was an autocephalous, like an autonomous Orthodox Church in Montenegro that was dissolved after World War I with the founding of the new kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, and the establishment of the Serbian Orthodox Church as we know it today, which incorporated, 3 different independent metropolitanates. under one patriarch. They consider this to be an illegitimate union, and thus they see themselves as a continuation of a much older tradition. But, of course, people argue back and forth about this. I don't really particularly care much about that, but, that is how they see themselves and how the Serbian church views their history and the like. So,
that's what I said, like, they're not legitimate according to, official church magic and so on, because we don't really care about that. That's their own thing.
We're not an Orthodox podcast.
No.
We're also bigots.
Yes, we are bigots. And the first metropolitan was actually not the guy was just in charge now, but a different guy who was also defrocked, Antoni Avramović, who was a former priest in the Serbian Orthodox Church.
Yeah, got a lot of three-pointers the other day against Germany there.
You watched the FIBA
Avramović, man.
World Cup?
He was doing it.
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder if there's a relation there. But yeah, he was in the Serbian Orthodox Church, and then spent quite a few decades in North America, where he served mostly under the Orthodox Church of America, which we've talked about before is kind of a split off from ROCOR, the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, all this other stuff. We've covered that in other episodes.
Which itself is a split from the State Department.
Hey, come on now. They were out there before the that's white
that's true.
Russians.
They go way
basically.
back. Yeah, it goes way back. Yes.
And I think they never split with the State Department.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, the founder in '93, Metropolitan Antonia, was himself also defrocked by both of these churches for different reasons, and so he got consecrated and got his ecclesiastical authority from another one of these split off, unrecognized Orthodox mini churches in Bulgaria, and that's why all of the official Orthodox churches don't recognize them. Right? They've been.
Do you have a sense of how they lost their frocks? What unfrocked?
Yeah,
them?
but I don't know. We've talked about that in other episodes. I don't want to get anything wrong now, having not brushed up on all of it recently. So,
you can just let me then.
If you're interested,
you're
interested, go back and listen to those episodes. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. There's embezzlement. There's fraud. There's adultery, supposedly even.
Okay.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Okay, good, clean fun.
Antonia's reign didn't really last long, though. So the church gets established in '93. He dies in '96.
And was just proclaimed a saint by the Montenegrin
Orthodox Church. Just proclaimed a saint on, September 3rd of this year. Mere weeks ago.
Nice.
So yeah, as Ray said, the church has been headed up until now, or maybe still now, depending on who you side with on the split, by this guy, Metropolitan Mihailo, whose birth name is Miroš Dedić, who's led the church since 1997.
Yeah.
And
then the other important thing that we need to recap is that we found out they have a priest who is a Nazi Satanist follower of David Mamet called Nikola Poleksić. Yeah.
And not just a follower. A guy who was editing editions of their official O9A outlets. Making weird Slavo O9A compilation zines.
Probably wrote a book that was published by Martinet Press, run by Joshua Sutter and financed by the FBI.
Yep. I guess was the outer representative for a brief while, if I'm not mistaken.
We don't know this. Joshua was, and then they cooperated with Joshua while he was. I don't know if...
Yeah, they edited Fenrir together.
They edited Fenrir, yeah.
Okay.
Official, unofficial publication.
Yeah, so he was for sure in contact with Joshua Sutter, Nazi pro-pedophile Satanist leader of the Atomwaffen Division and Temple of Blood, who is a snitch for the FBI since 2003.
Yeah.
And we know through some people who contacted us that the Bishop Boris, who we'll be talking about today, of the Montenegrin Orthodox Church, who is a kind of a mentor to Nikola Poleksić in his journey of becoming a priest.
His other mentor.
Knows about this history of Nikola's. and that he doesn't care, and that his rationalization to people who complained to him about was, well, this is like a thing of the past when he was young and so on. Yeah. Although we absolutely know this is not true, because we found a very recent audio interview that Nikola, already supposedly an Orthodox Christian by that time, gave to Jake Hanrahan, and he gave it as a representative, like an anonymous one, but as a representative of the Order of Nine Angles.
Yeah. And he was the admin of their Twitter account while he was a deacon in the church. He's over and over again, I mean, he kept social media profiles under different names, communicating with O9A people that whole time. That never went away.
Called us self-selected opfers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we very much like that one.
That was a good one.
But I mean, this is, again, something that we have to continuously re-emphasize, because idiots like Bishop Boris, who's now maybe Metropolitan Boris, was like, well, yeah, I mean, he told me he played in heavy metal bands, that's all, whatever, the thing of the past. And it's like, well, okay. And that's, that brings me to kind of a point that, like, why are we talking about this? It is kind of funny and interesting.
Yeah. Church can be fun.
It's mostly that church can be fun when your priest is a Satanist.
Yeah.
But, like, I think there's this idea that, like, when we talk about this, or we talked about, like, this infiltration of Nikola into the church and his wife into, like, Montenegrin nationalist politics, that we're saying that, like, the O9A is, like, pulling the strings behind all these things, and that's not true. We know from, like, our in-depth research into the O9A that it's a complete shit show.
They're deeply incompetent,
deeply
poorly
incompetent.
organized.
It's falling apart in many ways right now. Like, I mean, David Myatt's been reduced to, like, responding on Twitter to any mention of the O9A.
Yes.
I mean, he reduced himself to that. I mean, although I think he reduced is maybe a bad word.
No, I agree. No,
well,
I think Twitter is more of legitimate.
He's like some sort of mastermind, this, that, and the other thing.
I think he was exposed by the fact that internet exists. So he has access to internet, so the world can see how pathetic he is.
It's his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. Yeah. But listen, I think I wouldn't, let's not shit on him for being on Twitter all the time. I think it's a full step up from when he was on the David Icke forums all the time, doing the same thing.
What were they, like, trolling? What was the other forum that they were trolling? That was something like,
oh god,
really banal,
fucking God, I forget the name of it now. But
disability forum or something.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Threatening people with disabilities.
Yeah. So again, we're not saying that, like, they're like these, satanic mastermind overlords. To me, what makes it interesting is how incompetent these, supposedly serious nationalist institutions are.
Right.
That, like, they can't or don't want to do the most basic vetting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this, like, to me speaks it to, like, the seriousness of these organizations in a way that's, like, funny to me. It's absurd, right? It's completely absurd that these people who, had control of the Montenegrin state put somebody like Mirna into any kind of position. It speaks to, like, the horrible, like, nepotism and corruption in that system anyway, because that came in through, like, kind of family connections from what we understand, but that they just wouldn't be like, hey, maybe delete your Facebook, or, like, maybe if you're gonna, be in the diplomatic corps, you can't, like, go around liking Nazi, Satanist, pro-pedophile terrorist groups. Yeah. On
the other hand, you have, like, a serious state like United States, who's not at all like Montenegro, and then they absolutely vet them, and they like what they see, and they give them a job and lots of money.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not the, like, all-powerful David Myatt. It's
David Myatt isn't the all-powerful David Myatt.
Man, these guys are dumb and like, either bad at what they do or just so transparently fucked up that it makes them look bad. And we should make them look bad because they're, bad people.
Here we go.
Nationalists are bad people.
All right. Case closed.
Although, I mean, it is pretty remarkable that these guys still going.
No, absolutely. No, it's completely absurd. Yeah, no, this is why we have to keep talking about it, because it's hilarious. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yes.
And there was a period of time, so we haven't done like an update on like the Montenegrin Church in a while, and Nikola and the like, because there wasn't that much, right? So I think the last time we talked about him maybe was when he was on that Wahhabi podcast.
Yes, classic. Yeah.
Well, he was on that a few times, but I think that was the last time we did an update about him, and that was a while ago, because he either got smart and
what's
stopped
B?
posting.
If this is A, if A starts with he got smart, what's your B theory? We can just skip the first one.
B, well, he got smart and was like, oh, maybe like I shouldn't use my official church Facebook for like other things as well, which from we will know now like isn't really true. Or B is that Bishop Boris was like, yo, we're about to be doing some stuff like big things. Tone it down and or delete your social media for a while because we don't want this kind of stuff resurfacing. We don't want you saying anything dumb. Because he's even implied that he like gets himself into trouble a lot because he can't keep his mouth shut. He's a braggart and Yeah.
Insight rolls, turns out, not hard. Not hard to do.
Yeah, if you get the right insight roll. I think it would be a lot harder to pull this off in like a much bigger legitimate church. Mostly because it takes several years to become a priest, and in that time period, somebody.
And you have to study like theology and stuff.
Yes, you can't just like give your impression of the Christ Lucifer fucking theory.
Yeah,
like you have to actually know things. Yeah.
It's like I studied the Bible. I also am very familiar with the Devil's Quran, published by Martinet Press, and like, I'm also.
One might say more familiar.
Much more familiar.
Yeah.
With Savitri Devi and esoteric Hitlerism, Miguel Serrano. Yeah. I mean, that's
Christ is an avatar of Vishnu. I learned that in CCD.
He's also not like, I don't have an impression that he's like good at even that. Like he sounds dumb, and like he sounds like a guy who read something on the internet and maybe is able to impress his friends when they're drunk.
Well, like, if you recall, they had him on the Wahhabi podcast because he made Christianity look bad because he wasn't a good theologian.
Yes, exactly.
Because we got a message forwarded to us by somebody who communicated with one of the co-hosts of that Islamic podcast that he was on, and when it was revealed that he was a Satanist, they're like, "Oh, that's terrible. Well, I guess all Christians are kind of wrong anyway," and he does a good job of illustrating that point because they'd have him on to like argue the Christian position about like whatever Christ or all kinds of like theological stuff that I guess he could hold his own as basically an amateur. But if you had like a serious guy that went to seminary, right, he could defend that Christian position a lot better than Nikola did. In fact, the best episode he ever did, even for them, is the one that he talks about cults and Satanism because that's what he fucking knows about. He didn't have such a good time with some of the other stuff, and that's why they had him on. So
to illustrate how Christianity doesn't make sense. That was his role there. It was very obvious, and he still wouldn't say no to being a guest there because of his huge ego and being a dumbass.
Well, and he doesn't give a shit about Christianity.
Probably, but he probably doesn't want to seem like a dumbass, and he absolutely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't come off too great in any of those. And I think even in like that got shared. I mean, he was sharing it on his social media, and like I saw like in some other comments, I think it might have even been on his old Facebook, or there was a religious forum that some of these guys posted on too in Sober Creation, or BCSM, my favorite abbreviation for those languages, in which they were like, "Hey man, you really like you can do better. Like you don't need to go on these podcasts."
Yeah,
like, come on. So he was keeping a pretty low profile, and I started to speculate as to whether or not he was even still around. Because like I was looking at all the I keep tabs on that stuff, and I wasn't seeing him in the photos as much as actually at all for a long time. Most of this year, I think, or at least going back into like the fall, last fall. So it's been quite a while since I've like really seen him in any of the church photos and church events. Whereas before, he was always in them, to the point that, he was right in that famous photo that we put out there of him giving Easter eggs to Metropolitan Mihailo, the now possibly dethroned leader of the church. And so, I started to think, maybe they wised up and they're just keeping it quiet. You know what I mean? Quietly kicked him out and, they're doing their things. But some stuff started happening in the last few months. Actually, I think starting in the wintertime, right, Ray? Was that when we first saw
I think so,
those like kind of obvious rifts and cracks begin to appear within the Montenegrin Orthodox Church itself?
Mm-hmm.
And it was coming out.
You hate to see it. You just hate to see it.
You just hate to see it. Well, I mean, it was done in a kind of bizarre way too, right? Like, there was a lot of kind of shit talking going on somewhat unofficial channels on social media, and then within some like kind of smaller Montenegrin press about like how Metropolitan Mihailo, Archbishop Mihailo, is accusing Boris of this, that, and the other thing. And then I think it was in like December of this year, somebody leaked a recorded phone conversation between old man Mihailo and Bishop Boris, which kind of, I guess we know now that Boris probably did it or somebody close to him. I mean, he recorded it for sure. Mihailo is like 1 million years old and definitely doesn't know how to use any form of technology.
Yes.
The point that like the people have like posted kind of the blooper reels from some of his addresses where he's just kind of, doesn't know where to look at the camera and all this other stuff. He's an old guy. He's an old priest who doesn't know his media. But like the recording was them arguing about some like particular stuff also regarding money, and kind of an airing of grievances against Archbishop Mihailo, that they brought some kind of, what did they call them? Right, we were just talking about this the other day. The Russian church, the guys from that unrecognized Russian church, the Rokor split off. He referred to them by the term, not cave churches.
Catacombs or what?
Catacombs, yeah. They were like, we were surprised to see these Russian catacombists in the church. What are they doing there? It was like a good 40-minute like recorded phone conversation of,
So Boris is accusing Mihailo of having some Russian ties, right?
Yeah, and so this would
and
come
Boris has himself like Ukrainian ties. So.
Right. So one of the things that like made Boris who he is today is that, he was brought into the Montenegrin church at a very young age. I think, and some like Serbian nationalists, I think, throw this in his face. He never finished high school or anything. He was taken as like a 16 or 17-year-old to the church to become, to train under the church. So he's been there like, most of his life at this point. He's not kidnapped. His parents, I think, were religious and they brought him there.
They abducted him from math class.
And
handed him the symbol of the Rune Vera.
Yeah.
Which is an egg.
I don't know, like...
There you go. That's why he was handing them out on
swastikas,
Easter. Yeah. There you
are. But like, unlike a lot of their other priests, he is one of the only guys that went to seminary, right? And he did that in Ukraine, studying in Kyiv under one of the Ukrainian churches that was at that point not recognized by the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople, but that later was, like a few years ago, finally recognized, much to the dismay and anger of the Russian church, right? Who doesn't recognize them.
But that's good news for Boris's crew, right?
Yeah.
As far as the air of legitimacy goes, no?
Yes and no. And
that's what they're hoping for. But
that's what they're hoping for, but there's a lot of reasons why that probably won't happen.
I mean, the Ukrainian church that was recognized by the Constantinople is a very different church from the Montenegrin one.
Well, it was several different churches that then united into one. Most of them were all of them were in the diaspora for, good half a century or even longer. Some of them going back.
But I have many priests, bishops.
Tons of priests, tons of bishops, tons of, and most importantly, followers.
Yes.
Which is something that they can't really
And
boast.
actual churches and theological universities and such
I
things.
get it. Rub it in, why don't you?
Yeah.
They got priests. They got churches. All right.
They have
not every church
parishioners,
has
they
to
have
have
followers.
churches and parishioners and priests.
They have a flock,
Yes.
a loyal one. And especially, in the diaspora, before the Soviet Union fell, thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. That's a big thing. And then they were able to, get some churches and monasteries back in independent Ukraine and set themselves up as something much more legitimate. And they could trace as is important in all these churches, they could trace their origins back to a point that kind of, I guess, was more legitimate than what Archbishop Antonia did in 93 as being somebody who was already defrocked by a bunch of churches.
Yep.
I mean, They can all trace it, but the point is is your connection to it legitimate or not? And whether it's legitimate or not depends on one guy or a group of guys who, invoke the Holy Spirit and they say, okay, this is the legitimate church that, is descendant from those people. So right now, the church in Montenegro that according to the Orthodox Church, the global one or whatever, is the legitimate inheritor of the medieval Montenegrin Church is the Serbian Orthodox Church. So at some point they maybe maybe they will change their mind and say, okay, now it's this church. But I mean, the Serbian Orthodox Church did the same thing with the Macedonian Orthodox Church, which they didn't recognize. And then at some point, for political reasons, they just decided, okay, now it's legitimate,
Yeah, which was last year, right? Yeah. I think is when they had that. Yeah.
But Macedonian Church also had something going on for it that Montenegrins don't have, which is, priests, bishops,
monasteries, monks.
Monasteries, it was an actual church. So the Montenegrin Orthodox Church, what they need is to be an actual church, even an unrecognized one, but to be an actual church, which they are not now.
And which they were trying to do, supposedly, through various different means, trying to get back monasteries from the Serbian Orthodox Church, or at least be allowed to serve in them, kind of, because there are cases of churches in conflict that have to share a church or something, like in Jerusalem, this happens, right? With the, Orthodox have to share churches with Catholics and shit, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's also like Armenians have their corner, Greeks have theirs, and so on.
So they were hoping for that kind of solution, and it never really happens. And in 2020 or 2021 or so, the Ecumenical Patriarch of, or maybe it was before, actually 2019, I think, because Amphilochia was still alive. The Ecumenical Patriarch responded to the Montenegrin Orthodox Church and said, I will never recognize you. And he over and over repeated that, this guy Mihailo is been excommunicated by the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople, where he had served, right? And, that guy's, to them, he's not a priest. He has no legitimacy. He's been excommunicated. And so he kept on repeating, Mihailo, blah, blah, blah. And I think Boris, we actually speculated about this on way back when, that he was planning on taking over the church.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
I mean, it was very obvious. I mean, he was the face of the church next to this ailing old guy who would, show up at events. But Boris was really the young guy who went to seminary and is trying to do stuff. That he was going to try to take over the church. And I think that, partially hearing the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople be like, Mihailo, this, that, and the other thing, they figured, okay, well, once he's gone, we can step up, right? I'll step up, and I'm not him, and I was trained in a church that is now recognized. But even then, the Ecumenical Patriarch responded to the Ukrainian precedent and said that this doesn't apply in Montenegro.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it seems pretty clear, but I think Boris decided to hedge his bets and go for it, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said,
he could have also just waited because this guy's very old. I mean, he'll.
That's exactly the point. So things started to kind of speed up in the last few months.
Did Mihailo get like a blood boy or something, and now Boris is worried he'll live forever?
No, they just clearly all the like conflicts that they had finally came out, right? And they couldn't sweep it under the rug anymore. And it was clear that Boris was taking on more responsibilities that I think Mihailo hadn't told him that he could do. I think specifically there was one thing with money that he renovated some church building where he serves in Nikšić without asking the metropolitan, the church,
that'll do it.
The archbishop. It's not a good look.
That is called corruption.
That's what, he was accused of, kind of taking this money and doing stuff on his own, which kind of meant that he was, too independent, trying too much to do his own thing. And I think Boris had enough of it, and he figured, okay, well, I think I probably have more supporters at this point than Mihailo. What I'm going to do is take him out. And the best way to take him out is this through an ancient or medieval Montenegrin tradition of the all Montenegrin, what's it called? Assembly.
Yeah.
And this is a tradition that goes back to the times in which, there was independent Montenegrin principality or kingdom that was, constantly, at odds with the various conquerors around there, mostly the Ottomans. And they would have these assemblies in the royal capital of Cetinje where they'd choose leaders, and it wasn't quite it's not a democratic system, even though that's what they say it is. They're like, this is ancient Montenegrin democracy. This is insanely patriarchal. And it was, we don't really have time to get into that.
It was also theocratic. So
it was also, literal theocracy.
So the main, archbishop guy was also the main political leader for a few hundred years.
Yeah. So the last all Montenegrin assembly that they called was when the Serbian Orthodox Church enthroned the new bishop in Montenegro after the old one, the crazy one, died of COVID in 2020.
Right.
And if you'll recall, we did some episodes about that too. That's when kind of this glorious moment for Montenegrin nationalists in recent years, and that they, managed to get a good number of people in the old capital Cetinje to block the monastery and, fight with riot cops. And then the bishop had to be brought in by helicopter with special forces. Of course, this is where we saw Bishop Boris out there, with a gas mask, standing in a cloud of tear gas.
Pretty metal.
Really good imagery. We saw Nikola running from the police lines with tear gas behind him.
Yeah.
All those kinds of things. In
his little dress.
Yeah. And this was, this really glorious moment for them. And so...
Do you think that Nikola had a moment in this fight between two Orthodox churches running from the police and tear gas all around him, going, what am I doing? I'm a Satanist. Or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I think you might have thought, this is the best moment of my life.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's exciting. You're getting shit done. You're in a group that's, getting into major fights with the state. That's
right-wing chaos abounds.
I mean? Yeah, there's not much better than that. I mean, that's living the dream, baby. And he's like, yeah, I mean, this is probably exactly, what he wanted too, in some ways. This is the sinister dialectic or something. I don't know.
I think handing out Easter eggs was probably more disturbing to him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But then he was probably like, well, the Easter egg is an ancient symbol.
Pagan fertility symbol. It's a little pedophilic. I think it's fine.
So they called this all Montenegrin assembly now for the 3rd of September. And I was very curious about this because it was very clear that what was going to happen is that Boris was going to launch a coup and try to overthrow Mihailo. But what I was curious about, since we hadn't seen Nikola in about a year, is whether he would be there and where he would end up on this side. I knew that he was probably going to be with Boris,
Yeah.
but I still wasn't sure whether he was in the church or not, because again, he kind of disappeared from all their photos and social media. I mean, he'd been an admin on their like official, church Facebook group or whatever.
It's okay, I've been admin before.
Yeah, it's in his resume. Like,
Yes.
So do you have any admin experience? So I was like, well, I was admin of the O9A official Twitter. I have a lot of experience in editing journals here before you. I can show. Oh, I published books. Here's The Kiss of Morena with Temple of the Black Sun. So it's a very Christian group from Russia. They have a unique perspective on things.
They like knives.
I'm a good organizer. I'm good at making Facebook pages that get a couple dozen followers and and then abandoning them. You can see here in 2018 I made a sinister Hindu page that had a few followers. And Boris is like, very good, very good.
Very good.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Look at what the young guys are up to these days. They don't do shit. We want one of those savvy social media types.
One of them savvy Satanists.
He's in touch with the youth, with the rock music, and
there's one thing the church likes. It's touching the youth.
Man,
you said in touch. Did you say in touch? You said in touch. Sorry.
So lo and behold, the 3rd of September rolls around, and the all Montenegrin assembly happens. And I tuned in on the live stream, sat back with a bowl of popcorn, cracked open a cold one. It started pretty early in the morning, so no, I didn't do any of that. But
placed your bets.
I placed some bets. Called my bookie and did all the.
We had our fantasy fucking King's meat
the fantasy league
on the board there. Yeah.
In your face, Fritz! I told you that the priests from the Kotor diocese were going to split off. They're with Mihailo now.
Fair enough. He had the stats.
So they didn't do like good crowd shots because like there were people there, but it definitely wasn't as big as the one that they were able to mobilize a few years ago, right? And it was an enthronement ceremony. And, I'm watching the stream and I'm hearing the bells and the little chimes from the little incense burner things. And there are, lots of little nice little singing chants going on. I'm like, oh, wait, all those guys are wearing black robes. And that guy with the blue robe and the tall guy with the blue robe, the black beard looks like Nikola. Let's get up close. And the camera person gets up close, which I'm guessing is probably his wife because she does a lot of the camera stuff on these streams. I remember that before.
Well, we share an interest in what Nikola is up to, so.
Yeah. He was ready for his close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Yes.
Because he got that very, very quickly. Right up in the face. I was like, oh, yep, that's it. He's there. And, yep, he took part in the enthronement ceremony of now Metropolitan Mihailo, which, they were all up, and canonization ceremony of Bishop Antonia, who is now a saint. So that's what they did. They canonized the founder of the church in 93 and pushed out the guy that succeeded him because a lot of reasons.
So like a Satanist, one of the leaders of the Order of Nine Angles was now officially a part of both the enthronement of the new head of the Montenegrin Orthodox Church and the canonization of their saint.
He's living the life, I'm telling you.
That is living the life, man. And of course, the ceremony, they get he gets a different hat. He gets rid of the black hat and he gets a white hat with a cross on it and, lots of singing and all that fun stuff. And that was it. And he became head of the church.
Amazing.
But before that, there was like a funny exchange between them, no? Between Boris and Mihailo.
There were a few.
Yeah.
There have been many.
I don't know if you want to talk about that, but there was one.
Go ahead.
I thought it was very funny because Boris was saying, like attacking Mihailo and saying all of these things is very funny and kind of, hypocritical, because he was saying how they cannot be a legitimate church because the head of the church was, kicked out of the church by the ecumenical patriarch and so on, which is like, okay, so what are you doing in this church? I mean, he is the head of the church.
Yes.
So, and so on. And then Mihailo, or the official Montenegrin Orthodox Church, had a statement in which they basically said, Boris is gay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And if that's not enough,
about that. Oh my God.
Fucking clown show.
and if that's not enough, he's also bisexual.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking,
wow.
what the fuck? So
Yeah, just say bisexual then.
yeah, because they were saying they accused him of both homosexual and bisexual behavior, which is
I love it.
So. Okay, he's into guys, but then another problem is that he's also
into women. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. That
Wow.
actually happened before the enthronement ceremony as kind of, the cherry on top.
That is class. That's history now. That's going to be in the ancient scriptures when they look back on the council.
No.
Yeah. They'll be
And
like,
they also said, because they also want to be like, they don't want to be like the Serbian Orthodox Church, they want to be somehow more Western. So they say, we don't have anything against the rights of the LGBT community, but you cannot be a bishop of our church and be a pervert, something like that.
okay.
But no offense.
Yeah.
No offense to all the dirty perverts out there, you know?
But not in our church, okay? Keep it in, I guess, the closet. Which is also funny, I guess, because supposedly one of the reasons that Mihailo was excommunicated from, I can't remember if it was from the Serbian church or from the ecumenical patriarchate, is because of adultery. And so he was kind of like, okay, yeah, well, I did that too, but he's gay.
Right.
And bisexual.
I did it with a chick, man. Like,
Yeah.
Boris is out there swinging both ways.
Yeah. Man,
and he brought up like some evidence, but it was like one of these things where he was like, we had reports, and they're very valid and verified reports from people that know in the know. Mm-hmm. Which like kind of was like, okay, Boris, all right, sweet. Like, but
you get it.
Funny they didn't accuse him of having Satan as friends, for example.
I know you'd think that would be the easiest
no one
thing,
cares.
Easiest thing in
Not
the world.
one fucking
Like,
person cares about that.
they don't believe it. That's the thing. I mean, who knows? Like, we know that Boris knows because we have talked to somebody who actually told him in person, which is interesting. But whether the degree to which old man Mihailo knows that
anything,
or not anything, and that included, is, I guess, anyone's guess. But you'd think that would be the first thing you'd do, is you would instead be like, okay, he's gay, like, that's bad. And like, I'm sure like a lot of the parishioners were like, yeah, oh, wow, okay. But like, if you were like, yeah, Boris is illegitimate because he took this guy from the Order of Nine Angles and made him into a priest in our church, you'd think that would be pretty good fuel against him.
Yeah.
No? And then Mihailo could be like, I had no idea. Look at what this guy's doing to our church, blah, blah, blah. But no. No such luck.
Man.
So, yeah, the church is now fractured. It's split. It seems like, well, it's kind of hard to tell.
Sorry, would you say that it bisected? Is it like bisexual is what I'm asking?
Oh. No. It's gone even further than that.
Trisexual. All right.
So my understanding is that, like, okay, there's at this point maybe 4 different splits.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some older ones, yeah.
Because there's the current split between Mihailo and Boris. Oh, and by the way, they tried to do it respectfully, right? They were like, Mihailo has served the church very well, but it's time for him to retire. They forced him into retirement. That's what they did.
Yeah.
He did good things for our church, but he's a demented fake priest.
Yeah. And Mihailo's over here like, guys, I'm not fucking dead yet. Come on. Because one thing that he kept on saying in his response to this is that, like, you can't you can't replace a bishop who's still alive or metropolitan who's still alive. We're supposed to keep serving.
Yeah.
You can't force me into retirement. And then, guys, I'm not dead yet. But then there's an older split because there was a split a few years back with that other guy. What's his name?
I forgot. No.
Lavovich?
No.
The lion.
Yeah, there is something which is called the Orthodox Church in Montenegro. I don't know if that's him.
It's Lavlajovic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The barking lion.
And he was, I guess, the Podgorica diocese, I think. And he split off even years ago. And he's been very active in social media talking about how this is illegitimate. And then people are like, well, I mean, yeah, you were brought up in that church too, and you split off and made yourself your own kind of metropolitan.
Yeah, that doesn't make you more legitimate. Yeah.
No, but he was like, okay, none of that was legitimate. And I see that now, and I respect Christ and all this other stuff, whereas these guys are just playing politics. That's kind of basically the gist of his message. And then one of the other kind of major, as far as they can have major dioceses, because it's a pretty small church overall, is the coastal diocese in Kotor. And they have like a little tiny church right in the middle of Old Town.
Sounds lovely.
And they had a dissenting opinion from replacing Mihailo. I think I might be wrong on this, because I just didn't care that much to read all their statements. Both parties were trying to instrumentalize this Kotor diocese, and they were like, no, but also, like, you can't replace Mihailo like this. This is illegitimate. You can't, like, it's not how the church works. You can't just have, like, a fucking street protest and replace the archbishop. It doesn't work that way. And so it kind of seems that, like, they're more on Mihailo's side, but also...
Yeah. But what is if your bishop is a fake priest? Like, maybe then you can do it.
Yeah, but then they all have this problem that they followed him for so long.
Yes,
and what it basically amounts to, and you see this in like pretty much all the statements of like the people that followed on Boris's side, which was like, he had 25 years to like, blah, 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 get stuff done, and he hasn't done jack shit.
Yeah, yes.
And sure, from their perspective, I'm sure that's true, but also kind of not, right? They seem to be having like a good moment like a couple years ago. If they had just tightened ship like churches do and kept all the beef inside,
that's but that's
they
not
probably,
the O9A's style, Boris.
That's not the O9A's style. Yeah, it's rubbing off. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You'd think that they could have like kept it going a little bit longer and just dealt with their own problems in house. But yeah, it seems that Boris was getting impatient. His whole thing, I think, basically now, and he's said this over and over again, he's like, I've been there since 17. Fuck, I am the fucking church. You know what I mean? Like,
nice. I love it.
Because I think in some ways he's been around probably longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
And so he that's his argument, basically. It's like,
certainly longer than Nikola.
Yeah. Or most of their other priests.
Yeah.
Because they've had some come and go, too. And then, all these other weird accusations that, like, Mihailo's like an FSB plant. He's working with the FSB in the Serbian state to destroy the Montenegrin church.
Awesome.
It's kind of a weird argument to me, too, because, like, you're the splitters.
Yeah. I mean? Like, yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, they had to destroy it before he did.
Yeah, but
can't let them win.
I guess he was destroying it by not giving power over to Boris fast enough.
Yes. You use that same argument with us, word for word.
Maybe he's destroying it by having this inherent flaw that he's not a real priest, so they can never be legitimized. Maybe that's what they're saying.
Yeah, but then, I mean, it brings into question the whole thing. Everybody,
of course, yes.
Yeah, but that's the problem. That's why we have to get rid of him.
But it seems like if you want to do like a fast track to recognition, and there was an article that came out like the day after, written by this guy who writes a lot of like pro-Montenegrin, like he's a journalist at Balshak Knežević, I think, and he was like, the Ukrainian president, how like, the ecumenical patriarch will soon recognize the Montenegrin Orthodox Church. And familiar arguments, and like it's pretty much also like, yeah, okay, so now that Mihailo's gone, like it might actually happen. And it seems like, okay, what we just established in talking about why the Ukrainian church got recognized is that, again, they had churches, they had followers, they had this, that, and the other thing. If you're on the fast track to recognition and you split the church into like 4 different parts, it seems it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, the church is already tiny. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, I mean, if anything, if anybody's working for like the Serbian Orthodox Church and the like Serbian interest, it would be Boris, right? I mean, because he's splitting the church apart.
Well, all of them, I would say.
I mean, like, I don't see who stands to benefit from the fact that now, like, the parishioners and like supporters, at least, because I think they have more supporters than people that actively go to church. And that's absolutely true. In fact, nobody goes to church. You can see that in their photos. Even on holidays, there's a few people. But like, the Facebook groups have like thousands of followers, this, that, and the other thing. So like, if you start splitting the supporters, who really benefits from that?
Yeah.
It just seems like so like if Mihailo hadn't done anything in 25 years, you're setting it back to like 94. You know what I mean?
And you could just wait it for a few years and then he would die. And he would be inevitably the new leader of the church, but who else will be? I mean...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't get it at all. But again, these are the people that made fucking Nikola 09A dude into a priest. And so this begs the question, when is Nikola going to be bishop?
Yes.
I mean, he needs to dump Mirna first, no? And and become a monk. Bishop, right? So,
I mean, if it's all pretend anyway, you might as well.
I mean, you can do that. I mean, I think their current leader, Mihailo, was a priest who was married.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know if his wife died or what happened, but then I guess he became a monk or something like that. But yeah,
interesting.
Well, so yeah, if Nikola goes into the monastery, we know what's coming.
They don't have a monastery, though. That's the problem.
Maybe they have like a chat room or like a message board called monastery.
Because that also came up like over and over again in Lavlajovic specifically. Was like, this church needs monasteries. It needs monks. It doesn't need, whatever, like photo ops and, meetings or whatever. Mm-hmm. Which is true. If you want to build a church, you build a church.
Boris became both a monk and a priest in Ukraine, right? Or...
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
because bishops in the Orthodox Church need to be monks and also priests. Because when you're a priest, you can do the liturgy, but in order to not be just an ordinary priest, but a bishop, you need to be also a monk, which is a separate order in Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
So they don't have a monastery, but at least they have a lodge.
They do.
They do have a lodge, yes.
Yeah.
And the Church of Christ Lucifer.
That's true.
They are probably recognized by the Church of Christ Lucifer. I would imagine.
The lodge is definitely recognized by the Church of Christ Lucifer.
I mean, the Montenegrin Orthodox Church.
Oh, probably. I see. Yeah, we could ask. That's a good question for Nikola next time he's on TV.
Remember when the background on their Facebook page, like the Montenegrin Orthodox Church group, was that like flaming... whatever.
Oh, the thing from his old fucking Satanist websites. Yes.
Yeah, taken from the Church of Christ Lucifer directly.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, man.
He likes to have fun.
Yeah.
He does.
And there will be fun times to come.
Yeah. I mean, I bet Nikola is a bishop already in his own Church of Christ Lucifer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he met the qualifications. I think the Montenegrin Orthodox Church moves a lot faster than most 09A.
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Yeah.
Well, that was his own like Gnostic church.
Yeah.
And do they have like some
neo-Gnostic churches like in France have bishops, and I think some of their offshoots exist in the US as well. I think they have bishops. And also
he probably is one already.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Perfect.
Okay. So we had some interesting communication with one of our listeners. They had some communication with some of the people we are talking about and got some very interesting information from them and sent this our way. So one of the people they had very interesting conversations with is Nikola Poleksić himself. Yeah. And this is like recent stuff because the social media account that Nikola used to have this conversation with our listener, the name of it is Father Nikola Poleksić. And
this is the official one, like his official church Facebook profile, the one that he used when he was an admin on the church group, and also like the one that he used when he logged into like the live streams for the Wahhabi podcast.
Yeah. So it says Father Nikola Poleksić, and there is like a profile picture of him in a looking like a priest. And he had a very dumb. He doesn't come off as a very smart guy, I would say. But he said some interesting things in this conversation, which was in English.
Yeah, indeed.
I wonder if the Montenegrin Orthodox Church will recognize Christian identity churches in the future.
No, because they want to like at least maintain some sort of degree of like not respectability, but
legitimacy.
Christianity.
Yeah.
And like some sort of kind of quasi-liberalism to a certain degree too. Yeah, which one do you want to start with?
I don't know. They're all very dumb. I think there is two that are really kind of more interesting, or three. I mean, it's mostly nonsensical because the whole conversation is like Nikola, rightfully so, being very suspicious about the person who's asking questions and saying things like, "Why are you asking? Who are you? Where do you live? I don't know who you are. You are maybe FBI. You are maybe Satur. I don't know," and so on. And
you could just not respond.
Yes,
if you cared at all about OPSEC, just
just block them.
Yeah,
just block them. Don't answer.
But then also saying a lot of stuff.
Great.
Yeah, and he's like trying to be sarcastic too. He's like, "Oh, maybe I can give you like my contact in the CIA. Why don't you just fuck off? Blah 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 blah." And then they start talking about Sutter and Hoy, and it boils down to this.
Yes.
Sutter must be the most sinister aspect of that sinisterly numinous path. He will be a history and one of the future gods.
Oh.
I don't agree with him on everything, but I will support him on everything, even being a quote-unquote snitch. Was not Myatt a snitch? I think that Sutter and Hoy enjoyed a role. Good for them. I have my roles and my life. Good God bless both of them. Those are my kindred, whatever path they take.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a wonderful defense. We're all fucking snitches, dude.
Yeah. So he says, I think that Sutter and Hoy enjoyed a role. Actually, he wrote God for them. I guess he meant to say good for them.
Could be either.
I have my roles and my life. So he's talking, of course, about inside roles and kind of implying that being an Orthodox priest is his own inside role.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. So he will support Sutter in everything. And according to him, Sutter is a future god.
Yeah, which is not Christian theology.
No.
Nor particularly realistic, knowing what we know about Josh Sutter.
Yeah.
That one is very revealing. Probably the most revealing because, I mean, this is, again, him being a priest recently and saying that Joshua Caleb Sutter of the Temple of Blood is his kindred and that he supports everything that he does.
Yeah, which is, as we mentioned many times, promoting pedophilia, rape, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything. Anybody who has any doubt about that can go back and listen to some of our many Temple of Blood related episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a one that's also kind of interesting, although the answer to the question is a bit confused, probably deliberately so. But
yes, it's the Labyrinthus Mythological.
Exactly. Respect the game, Ray.
Yeah. The question was something like, okay, so is this an insight role for you that you're a priest?
He says, it was an insight role. It should be the one you convince everyone of. On the other hand, Myatt's shit, that insight role should not last for over a year or year and a half. This arrangement of mine with the Montenegrin Orthodox Church lasts for over than 3 years now. Mm-hmm. This is not an insight role. And if you are some O9A nerd checking on that, suck your own butthole, I am a Christian.
Suck your own butthole? Suck your own butthole, I'm a Christian? That's a t-shirt. I would wear that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Suck your own butthole. I'm a Christian. That is so good.
And then he says, I don't care about that. I'm in trouble always.
Amazing. Also sad and very stressful for someone, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see how he says it is an inside role and then starts explaining how Maya is a wuss for saying that the inside role should only be like a short thing. And then he remembers, I should probably say that this isn't an inside role. So he says that it isn't.
Right.
Although he not only said that it was, he tried explaining how it's, a superior form because it lasts for so long.
Right.
Yeah, it's more Myatt than Myatt.
It's not an insight roll. It's the best insight roll ever done.
Yeah.
And I think he might be right about that.
I mean, probably, yes.
Yeah. Suck your own butthole, I'm a Christian. I can't get over that. Can that be the episode title?
Well, we'll see about that. Yeah, but I mean, of course, him being a Christian isn't at all like, I mean, we've read things that he's said before about this, about like how he thinks that Christianity and Satanism can, exist hand in hand. I mean, he is like a Gnostic, right? To a certain degree. So, I mean, he is a Christian. He's also Satanist.
Yeah.
Right.
And then also on the Sutter thing, he did say at 1.2 in these conversations that the Balkan group was most influenced by the Devil's Quran, which, we've talked about in the past.
The Devil's Quran, just to remind listeners, is a book made up by Sutter and Hoy, we assume, correct?
Yeah.
But the funny thing about that is that David Myatt demanded to see the original ancient manuscripts on which it was based. Yeah. Not a smart group.
So what he specifically wrote was, here in Balkans, the whole cult was formed around their Devil's Quran. So he's saying that some kind of a cult was formed around that book in the Balkans.
Yeah.
A cult can be like 2-3 people. Why not?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Or just a Facebook group or something like that.
Just you and your imaginary friends. That's how the 7 Oxonians work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations to just everyone. To Nikola on his amazing insight roll, to the Montenegrin Orthodox Church on their non-stop great choices, and on us.
So a guy who thinks that Joshua Sutter is a future god just made a new Orthodox saint and a new metropolitan of an Orthodox Church is what happened.
Love it.
Yeah.
This is truly the golden era.
Well, yeah.
Or that's next, right?
That's next.
He also calls all those books portals, right? And that's yeah. Yeah, these are the words of a good Christian man.
Dude, I can't wait. I can't wait when he gets his own church and like the sigil of Vindex is like carved under the Stations of the Cross and shit.
Yeah. There's an icon of Richard Molt.
Fuck yes. No, he'll have him do the icons. Richard Molt will become a very popular icon painter in Montenegro.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, he's qualified for that.
This is Molt's iconostasis in the Church of Christ Lucifer of the Montenegrin.
He mentions Molt in these conversations.
He does, yeah. He says that, what does he say? Like, Sutter is Satan, Molt is Christ or something?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
All right.
This is a man that that just made a saint.
No. He thinks that Richard Molt is Christ.
Yeah.
Well, Sutter's a new god, man. He's got
probably even less orthodox than saying that Sutter is Satan. Like, I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Yeah, no, Christ is Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's the point of it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you're Christian and not,
Yeah. This is great. Yeah, the Montenegrin Orthodox Church is our most fun church that we have on the show. We've covered quite a few, but they're just it's always
a gift
the
that keeps on
wackiest.
giving.
Just great quotes.
Well, I mean, they did they have a meeting point with the Order of Nine Angles, which is always a fun thing. Not a lot of churches do that.
No, not a lot of churches are that,
not very many
bold.
at all.
Yeah. Whew, man.
Yeah.
I love it. He's our mascot. He's one of them.
Well, that's your latest bit of intrigue for Montenegro.
It's better than I imagined.
Stay tuned for more. No, I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be some more fun stuff coming up now because they're
highly dysfunctional.
Yeah, even Mirna's like running candidate. Remember when they ran together?
Yeah, with the witch lady, the one with all the candles in her promo ad. It was awesome.
Yeah, like the goth one. Yeah. She's against this because it was like disrespectful to Mihailo.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So like they're all like fucking themselves. It's incredible.
That's how they do. That's the world of Tenepod. Just a bunch of right-wing lunatics fucking each other. That's it.
Yep.
But and us. If it was just them, no one would care. But every once in a while, a bunch of us get shot. So you got to keep tabs on it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In the words of the Apostle Paul, Agios Vindex.
Yeah, Agios Vindex. That's right. That's right.
All right, guys. Well, we'll just update you on this at some point.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's not going away anytime soon.
No, it ain't. But I am redecorating the Cosmic Boner Chewer Lodge headquarters.
Oh, nice.
Our Nexion to better reflect these changes.
Excellent.
Great.
The Metropolit. What's happening? What words am I using here? Church, wizard, something, Satanists.
Yes.
Metropolitanate?
There you go. Yeah.
All right, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Hey there, Fritz here from The Empire Never Ended. This has been one of our weekly free episodes for free people. But for premium people, we also have weekly premium episodes, which you can get at patreon.com/tenepod, TENEPOD, and also follow our various social media things in the show description there. Like and subscribe them. Follow them. Like and follow and subscribe. Follow them. Do it.